So as 2023 is right around the corner, I can't help but feel that Xbox is in a very unique situation. Because for me, from my personal perspective, it's do or die for Xbox in 2023. When you look at really the past, I don't know, decade of what Xbox has been doing, it's been a bit rocky, especially when you're comparing it to the other companies. Yes, there have been high points. Yes, there have been some titles, few and far between. But when you look at 2022 as a year, I think a lot of people were hoping that this was the year. This was the year that you were going to start seeing the fruits of Xbox's acquisitions, the fruits of their labors, having all these different first-party studios finally on board, finally creating games just for Xbox, and then it really didn't work out that way. There were some games that released. You had Scorn, no thank you. You had Grounded finally get the full release after the beta. I'm sorry, I played that a couple years ago when it first was released on the system in the beta format. I'm not interested in revisiting this. You had, of course, High on Life that just came out, which doesn't really look like a game for me. You had Pentiment. There were some games. Games like Pentiment seemed to get high review scores. A lot of people did seem to kind of like that game. But I think the problem was the fact that these are all complementary games. They're, standing on their own, they're not going to sell a system. But when you have those games alongside of bigger titles, okay, now you're creating a more interesting ecosystem. When you look at Nintendo, when you look at Sony, they have all had their bigger AAA first-party titles, whereas Xbox just hasn't really gotten around to getting that mojo yet. So when I look at 2023, I feel like this is a huge year for Xbox, because for me, it's kind of like, I'm going to have to give up on this company if they don't produce, at least at the bare minimum, what they say they're going to produce right now for 2023. We know about 3 games that are coming out in 2023 that are scheduled for the Xbox consoles. We, of course, we'll go through the games in least interest to most interest for me. Redfall, it does nothing for me. Like, I don't think it looks like a bad game. It's something I'll probably check out because of the fact that, it's going to be on Game Pass. But to me, it looks like another Left 4 Dead style game, Back 4 Blood. It's one of those multiplayer, play with your friends shooter game. The vampire thing is kind of cool with it. But for the most part, this doesn't really seem like a game that'll sort of transcend gaming and be this big AAA release. But the other 2 titles, I think, have more potential. The other 2 titles, I think, are more necessary for Xbox in 2023. We'll start out with Forza Motorsports 8. Now, honestly, I'm extremely excited for Forza Motorsports 8, simply because of the fact that Gran Turismo 7, it just didn't do it for me, man. They didn't expand upon the franchise enough. There's still tons of cars missing. There's still tons of tracks missing. The online is literally bumper cars where other people get penalties and you don't, or you get a penalty and other people don't get penalties. A lot of it makes absolutely no sense. So I feel like Forza Motorsport 8, which of course is the more realistic style of racing game from Forza company, I feel like that game has a lot of potential and can do something actually pretty special. Now, racing games are kind of niche. Let's be realistic here. I don't know that people would necessarily go out of their way to pick up an Xbox just to play Forza Motorsports 8, but I do enjoy simulation racing games. They're one of my favorite genres of games, and I feel like Forza Motorsport 8 can be very important. And then, of course, you have the big daddy of them all with Starfield, a game that was originally supposed to come out this year, 2022, but was, of course, pushed into sometime into 2023. And I feel like this is arguably one of the biggest Xbox releases in recent memory. Yeah, you had Halo Infinite as well, but I think this is right up there with Halo Infinite, maybe even kind of surpassing the hype around Halo Infinite, because this is a huge game. Fallout in outer space, which, I still got my beef with NASA. What's up, NASA? What's good, homie? But on a serious note, Starfield looks to be something really unique. It looks to be something really special, and it's one of those big games for Xbox that was severely lacking in 2022. And really for the past, 4 or 5 years, there have been some highlights here and there, but I can't really recall a year where you had a bunch of titles come out that were exclusive to Xbox that were first party games. So 2023 is very important in that manner. When you also look at what else is going on, is that all Xbox is going to have for 2023? If that's the case, I don't even necessarily think it's that bad. A lot of people enjoy things like Game Pass. I enjoy things like Game Pass. But the thing for Game Pass to me is you can have smaller titles that make, sizable dents in the marketplace, but they need to go alongside of the bigger titles as well. That's the reason why Nintendo platforms are selling well. That's the reason why Sony platforms are selling well, because people want those exclusive titles that you can only get on those consoles. With the Xbox, it's kind of like, if you don't love Game Pass, right now there's not a huge reason to pick that up. We of course know about other games that are in development for the Xbox system. We have Perfect Dark, we have Fable. There's obviously stuff that's cooking in the kitchen for Xbox, but it's kind of like, well, how far along is this? How long have we been cooking this? Did you potentially announce some of these titles a little bit too early, to the point of where you're not seeing these games until 2024, 2025 or beyond, which I don't think a lot of people are going to be happy with if for some reason any of those 3 titles that we just talked about ended up getting delayed. Because those games are scheduled for 2023, you got to remember, we still don't have a release date for any of those games. They're just 2023 titles. I think a lot of people expected Microsoft and Xbox to have a pretty decent presence at the Game Awards 2022. However, Phil Spencer was just kind of sat in his chair, crinkling to the ground, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else than there, probably at a strip club after playing a round of 18 holes of golf and drinking some cheap beer, because that's how I envision Phil Spencer spending his free time in my mind. I don't know if that's correct or not, but it's correct in my mind, and that's all that really matters. So I think that was kind of concerning for a lot of people, the fact that Microsoft, a company that usually does show up for the Game Awards, they've literally announced consoles at this thing with the Xbox Series X. The first time we saw the Xbox Series X was at the Game Awards. So for Microsoft to be pretty much non-existent at this event definitely didn't set the tone well for 2023 for a lot of people. But I'm willing to look past that. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. At the bare minimum, I need those 3 games that you promised were coming in 2023 to actually come out in 2023. I want to, even though I'm not super interested in it, I want to see Redfall come out. I definitely want to see Forza Motorsports 8 come out. I definitely want to see Starfield come out. And then you can start sort of shaping up what you want to do for potentially the rest of 2023, going into 2024 and beyond. It's definitely, I wouldn't say it's end of the world. And when I say do or die, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, Microsoft's not going to die, you're stupid. I'm not talking about from that perspective. I'm talking about from my own personal perspective, because I have been very patient with this company. I wouldn't consider myself an Xbox fanboy who overhypes every single Xbox title that comes out, goes on Twitter or goes on their YouTube channel and blows the game dry, even though it's the most simple thing in the world. But I am a fan of Xbox. I do want to see them do well. I do want to see them succeed, because I think competition creates, better environments for gamers and for consumers, and we get more games to play, and companies are having to jockey against each other to get these big titles out there. So I want to see Xbox do well, but just from a personal perspective, this is as far as I can go. This is as far as I can go with the company. If 2023 is a disappointment, if 2023 does not produce the games, produce the titles that are at the bare minimum, the ones you already said that are going to come out, there are much bigger problems in Xbox than we realize. There are much bigger problems. There's problems with management. There's problems with time management. There's problem with resources, problems across the board, because you got to do something, man. You got to do something. Game Pass is great, but we need some more meat on the bones with this. We need some more titles. We need these first party titles that you've been promising us for a very long time. We have been patient, Xbox, but now it's time to put your money where your mouth is. Now it's time to show the fruits of your labor. Now it's time to really start to ramp up what you're doing with this system in 2023 and beyond. But those are just my thoughts on Xbox and really the immediate future of Xbox, kind of the extended future of Xbox, but why I'm just at a point where it's like, okay, you got to do something. You know, the old saying, shit or get off the pot. You know, like, don't be sitting on the toilet anymore, Xbox. I want to see diarrhea flowing from you. A diarrhea fountain of first-party games. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit that bell notification as well, and give me your thoughts in the comments section down below. What do you see Xbox doing in 2023? Do you think it's going to be this big rebound year that we've been waiting for with the company, or is it going to be another disappointing year? And as always, guys, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.